Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For tonight's travel show we came to the country that is known for its green landscape, gnomes and rugby. We're talking about Ireland here. We're going to explore its rich and intriguing culture.
We've now arrived at a typical Irish pub and we've gotten the pleasure to interview the owner of the pub, Angus Murphy. So, Angus, could you tell us a bit more about Irish cuisine?
First of all, what you need to know about the Irish cuisine is that it's always fresh. If it's not fresh, we don't eat it.
What is a typical Irish dish?
The national dish is Irish stew. It's not a very consistent recipe, it varies from time to time and place to place. It's any variety of meat and root vegetables. The Irish eat a lot of soup, seafood and meat. And potatoes still appear at most Irish meals. And then cheese. Cheese is an Irish delicacy.
I can imagine, like in every other country, that the dishes change depending on celebration and traditions. Is that the case in Ireland?
Totally, especially during Christmas. It's the most festive meal of the year.
How would you describe a Christmas dinner?
We start with the soup, followed by a roasted goose, and then we finish the meal with oat cakes, Christmas cakes and mince pies, or how everyone loves Christmas dinner.
Sounds like something we have to try. Over to you, Manon.
We're now here with the rugby coach Conor Sullivan, and he will tell us a bit more about the sports in Ireland. So, Mr. Sullivan, what are the most common sports in Ireland?
We pretty much do the same sports as they do in every other country. Swimming, rugby, football, soccer, handball, golf.
But what is typical Irish?
Well, we have the Gaelic Games, which is very big here in Ireland.
Could you explain us what it is exactly?
Well, it's Gaelic football, Gaelic handball, hurling, and rounders, and it's very big here in Ireland. Actually, it's very, very, very appreciated.
What's different from? How is Gaelic football different from normal football?
Well, you play with 15 players instead of 11, and the goal is H-shaped instead. Yeah, as I said, it's very, very appreciated by the public.
Okay, we're now here with a typical 17-year-old Irish teenager, and you've said that you are on the known of what is in, what is out, and what you guys are famous for. So, why not tell us a bit more about your rich culture and costumes?
I don't know too much about like the culture, but apparently it's like deeply rooted in our Gaelic root or something. And about customs, like we're expected to shake hands. We say thank you and please a lot. And people tend to think of us as quite friendly apparently. I don't get that though. But yeah, and like we're very bad at like keeping time. We don't really care for that. So like me and my friend, we're going to the cinema, right? And we're gonna meet up at 8, but both of us gonna be there at 15:15 instead because like why go out of bed that early?
Okay, how about some famous people then?
We have that Taken guy. Apparently one of the James Bonds is partly Irish. Then a few people in Harry Potter. Oh, and the guy in 50 Shades of Grey.
How about some music then?
Apparently we have this band called The Two of You or something.
Do you mean U2?
I don't know, whatever. But I mean, most importantly, we have Niall Horan, and oh my god, my brother's ex-girlfriend's cousin's new girlfriend. She lives on the same street as his parents does, and oh my god. Okay, sadly we have to cut this interview to have an interview with a history professor who will tell us a bit more about the rich history of Ireland. Oh my god, is the man here?
Could you tell me a bit about the history of Ireland?
Well, Ireland has a rich history. There are many interesting parts that I don't think many people know about. But one of the most interesting things, and that I would like to bring up, is the myths of Saint Patrick. Now, Saint Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland, and he was a missionary who built schools, churches and monasteries across Ireland. And he also converted many Irish people to Christianity. Now, interestingly, he was not Irish, and Patrick was not his real name. neither was he a believer in God from the very beginning. His actual name was Mayvin Sukat, and he was born into a wealthy family in Rome, Britain, around the end of the 4th century. When he was 16 years old, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders and taken to Ireland, where he was held as a slave for 6 years. And it was during this time he started believing in Christianity. And so eventually he managed to escape back to his home, where he started the training to become a priest. And then after he became a priest, he changed his name to Patrick and went back to Ireland to start his missionary work. Now, about the myths. You may have heard that St. Patrick was the one who brought Christianity to Ireland. Well, that is false. There actually was a bishop who had been sent there before him, and he was known as Pelagius. Another thing you may have heard about is that St. Patrick banished all the snakes from Ireland. And that's not something you should take literally, because there weren't any snakes in Ireland to begin with. Instead, it is believed that the phrase is a metaphor, where the snakes are pagan, and St. Patrick banished them by converting them to Christianity.
We're going to talk to this local who specialized in Irish traditions. St. Patrick's Day is the most famous tradition of Ireland. Could you tell us something more about how people celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland?
The way we celebrate St. Patrick's Day on the 17th of March is a bit different, at least slightly different from the way my parents celebrated it when they were younger. Since St. Patrick's Day is more of a religious holiday for us Irish, my parents used to go to church in the morning and would celebrate with food and drink afterwards. Now, they didn't drink any beer at all. In fact, if memory serves me right, up until the 1970s, all pubs in Ireland had to be closed. Nowadays, we do have parades in Dublin and Cork, for example, but we don't quite celebrate it the same way Americans do. We don't all wear leprechaun clothes and large green top hats. Though some of us may wear shamrocks and some may wear green clothing. In fact, most of the things associated with St. Patrick's Day actually comes from the US. For example, we don't drink green beer, we don't dye our rivers green, and we don't eat corned beef and cabbage. So, to answer your question, most of us do take part in the festivities, but in general we keep a lower profile than people may think. Most people stay at home after parades, and some young people may spend their time at pubs.
Okay, and where does the tradition of wearing green come from?
That's an interesting question. In fact, the color associated with St. Patrick's Day was originally blue, and there are a number of reasons I can think of that could explain why we wear green nowadays instead of blue. Firstly, the shamrock, which has become a popular symbol for St. Patrick's Day and Ireland in general, is green. And secondly, Ireland is also sometimes called the Emerald Apple. And the Irish flag also has a green stripe, which represents Irish Catholics. And since the majority of the Irish are Catholic, and the fact that St. Patrick's Day was originally a Catholic holiday, that may be part of the reason why we wear green nowadays instead of blue.
We've learned so much today. What a lovely country. Thank you so much for watching and see you next week. Totally.